is the first video of Britain's first laser weapon being tested in Scotland. The beam is filmed through a special lens here, but in reality it's invisible to the naked eye. It's called Dragonfire, and this is what the laser can do. It can hit an object the size of a pound coin from more than a kilometre away. Dragonfire has been developed in the UK at a cost of more than £100 million, but it'll be much cheaper to fire than a traditional missile.
Вон она одна. Где? Вот. Ё-моё, вот вторая. Йоу! Что за фигня?
60-degree VR goggles, and letting them wander around the virtual world every day. This is to obtain data on neuron signals in the mice's brains. The mice's nerve signals when wearing these goggles were shown to be very similar to the nerve signals during normal activities, indicating that the mice quickly adapted to the virtual world. It is hoped that this data can be used to study how short-term memory models work, and how some nervous system diseases affect memory.
This has always been a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist type topic, but if you look at where we're at today with the nanotech, we now know that this is conspiracy fact. There's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ido Bachelet. In 2013, he gave a TED-Med talk in Israel. He's holding up a 1cc syringe, and he's saying, I just brought this from my lab, and then the tip of this needle are 1,000 billion robots, 2,000 times the width of a human hair. Not only does he brag about these robots being in the syringe, talks about how it's a benefit to humanity. And I would agree with him in one aspect. Technology in and itself is not good or bad. It's who is in control of the technology. He also expresses to the audience how these nanorobots basically are designed to be controlled by computer code, various languages. And he teaches his students how to control these things with an Xbox controller.
Are they electronic components? How are they being powered? How are they keeping power?
They keep power through the piezoelectric effect. Our body naturally produces a certain amount of amperage. There's a thing called graphene oxide. It's the main component that allows these things to self-assemble, self-replicate, and they actually cross the blood-brain barrier. They can actually be programmed to carry a payload so that if you send a certain RF emission to them, they'll open up and release whatever payload's in them.
It is ebb and flow, tidal gravity. It is ecological balance. You are an old man who thinks in terms of nations and peoples. There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West. There is only one holistic system of systems. One vast and immane, interwoven, interacting, multivariate, multinational dominion of dollars. Petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichmarks, rims, rubles, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency which determines the totality of life on this planet. That is the atomic and subatomic and galactic structure of things today. You get up on your little 21-inch screen and howl about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. There is only IBM and ITT and AT&T and DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, and Exxon. Those are the nations of the world today.
This is Ezekiel 28:3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel, There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Kahala Yahweh Bashim Yashai Bashim Kakordash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, I just wanted to put together a couple of clips that I've been collecting that shows just some of the incredible advances in technology, weaponry, science, medical systems, and also just as at the end there from the movie called The Network, Esau's mindset, showing that he has transcended the old world systems, that it no longer are nation states to them. They now consider the world as a one world order, and that it's basically just corporations that rule the world. Okay, it's not a country of England or a country of Africa. It's the corporations of Shell, Bechtel, all these big corporations around the world in their given regions that run the world. And this is the way these Edomites, and when I say Edomites, I'm talking about the biblical name for the Israeli and Caucasian race. Well, this is the way that these Edomites have set up the world. And why is that? Well, because this world belongs to them. Okay, the world has been given over to the Edomites. It tells us in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. This is what it means. It means that out of the 18 biblical nations on the planet today, right? Because again, remember, the 197 nations that are on earth today that the UN recognizes all go back to the 18 biblical nations described starting in Genesis 10. Okay? Well, the narrative of the Bible is that it's talking about a particular nation it refers to as the wicked, right? People understand this as the Antichrist, which we're going to have to identify before the end comes. Well, that one nation, the wicked that the Bible speaks of, right? The literal devils of the Bible, that would be the nation of Edom. And the world has been given into their hands. And why is that? Well, let's read it. It's a spiritual blessing that was given onto them by our forefather, right? The Negro, Latino, Native Americans, along with the Caucasian and Israelis, we all share a similar ancestor, and his name was Isaac. Okay, us Israelites, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, we descend from Jacob. These Edomites, the Israeli and Caucasian race, they descend from Esau. Okay, and they both had the same father, Isaac. Well, here is Isaac on his deathbed, basically blessing Esau, which also those blessings, pass on to Esau's descendants, which again today are the Edomites. This is what Isaac, their father, blessed them with. This is Genesis 27:39. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And that right there is basically Esau's blessing, okay? It tells you that ultimately these Edomites would have the dominion, right? that they eventually will become rulers now in this world. Because again, remember, the Lord has permitted every one of the heathen nations. Remember, the 18 nations on the world, the Lord is only dealing with one nation. That's the nation of Israel. And the rest of the 17 nations, those are considered heathen nations, basically the nations that were rejected. Now, the Lord, in his righteousness, he has given every one of the other nations a chance to rule upon the earth, basically their own time in heaven, okay? Because that's ultimately what heaven is. Heaven is not that BS Christian doctrine or belief that you go and you float in the sky and there's naked babies there with harps and you have a little halo around your head. No, that's made up, westernized doctrine or a belief, which basically is a lie. Okay, same thing. There's no such thing as a hell where there's eternal fire and you're burning forever and it's underneath the earth. No, that does not exist. Okay, heaven is basically when you're in rulership, over the known world. Okay, right now we're currently living in the heaven of the Edomites. Okay, this is their kingdom. This is their heaven on earth. Okay, and what's happening is we are now coming to the end of their reign upon the earth, and they are about to go into hell. Okay, and what is hell for these Edomites? Well, it's to be, serving us Israelites. Okay, you've probably heard that famous idiom, right? The white man's heaven is the black man's hell, and the black man's heaven is the white man's hell. Well, it's the truth. Okay, and the thing is that is the future, the destiny of these Edomites is to basically serve in the kingdom of heaven that is ruled by the Israelites, the so-called Negro Latino Native Americans, for 1,000 years of hard bondage, and then ultimately go extinct. Now, what have they done with all this wisdom and all this ability, right? With some of the videos that I showed you are just examples of just some of the things that they've been able to create while they've been here, on earth in their state of power that they currently are in. What have they done with it? Have they made the world a better place? No, not really. They definitely have initiated some good social, changes. But for the most part, there's a lot of things that could be done that would make the world a better place, right? A less corrupted place, a less wicked place. But again, the devil is in charge right now, and they're running the world in a wicked manner, right? By deceiving the nations. Let's continue where I left off on Ezekiel 28 verse 6. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh Bashem Shai power, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God, behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, and the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness, and they shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. So this here is showing me, what is in store for these Edomites. This is why these Edomites, they don't turn to the Bible. Well, at least those Edomites that are in the know of who they truly are and what's really going on. And that's basically referring to the top elite, right? The 1%ers and the elite echelon of these Edomites, okay? The people who understand that God's not for them, so hence they worship Satan, right? Or they worship all these different other gods because they know the God of the Bible is not their friend. Okay, it is plain and simple, right? They've come out and they've, admitted this on TV, right? You've had past Satanists telling you, okay, right? Even their own Freemason doctrine and mythology tells you this story, right? They believe God is the evil one, and they believe Satan is the good guy, right? They refer to him as, in mythology, as Prometheus, the god who stole fire from the gods and gave it to men, right? That's Esau's whole MO, right? This is why they rebel against God in their spirit. Okay, this is why they do everything contrary to the way God sets it. Because why? Well, because they are an enemy to God, and it tells us in Numbers when the Lord is referring to the top tribe of Edom, that being Amalek, or who we refer to today as the Israelis. He tells you, right, that though they were first amongst the nations, their latter end shall be that they shall perish forever, and that the Lord is going to swear that he's going to have war with Amalek for all generations. Okay, and that's because the spirit on these Edomites is contrary to God in his ways. Okay, this is why the world is in such a corrupt state. This is John 14:30. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me. Now, in this case here, this is for context that I brought this scripture out, okay? This is to show you who these Edomites are, okay? Because in the context of this verse here, the Messiah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, whose true biblical name is Yahweh Shai, that's Hebrew for He is salvation. Well, He is here speaking to the disciples, okay? And He's explaining to them that pretty soon He's going to be taken away to, He didn't tell them that He was going to be crucified, but He was letting them know that He wasn't going to be able to speak to them that much because of the things that He was about to endure. And the point being is that He referred to the Romans who were going to come and take Him as the prince of this world. Now, what is a prince? A prince is the son of a king, okay? Now, why would He refer to these Edomites as princes of this world? Well, who is the God of this world? Well, the God of this world, right, is Satan, okay? And if these are the princes of this world, that means that these are the sons of Satan, okay? Because remember, ultimately the Bible and really the people of the world can be divided into three groups. Even though I say, starting with the apostles, everybody, we talk about the 18 nations, the world really can be divided into three groups of people. And it's easier to do it this way just because of all the race mixing and how everybody now is claiming they're half this, a quarter that. Which, by the way, there's no such thing as being half something in the Bible. You basically are what your father is, according to Numbers 1 and 18. But again, the even more easier explanation of how to break people up is into three groups of people. That would be the sons of God, that would be your Israelites, the sons of man, that would be the 16 other heathen nations, right? And then the sons of the wicked, okay? That would be these biblical Edomites, okay? And because pretty much you're going to find that amongst every one of the 18 nations, you're going to have those three groups of people who are mixed in with every one of the 18 nations, okay? Now, that being said, now that we've established that these Edomites, right, in this time of the Messiah, they were referred to as the Romans. Today, we call them Caucasian and Israeli, right? They've basically spread around the entire world, just like almost every other nation has. But yeah, just as they were the princes of this world back in the time of the Romans, they are still the princes of this world in this time. In fact, they're referred to as the gods of this world, okay? Because of the things that you've seen in the beginning of this video, from being able to land a rocket, standing up, to be able to fly their cruise missiles, across seas, right? To build intricate weaponry. These are godlike abilities. And what have these devils done with it? Well, they've perfected their agenda, right? They perfected their will upon the other nations. And the sad thing is that the majority of that is war, destruction, death, corruption, right? These are the things that these Edomites bring forward, right? And the Bible even tells us that things are going to get bad for us because of these traits of these Edomites. This is Revelations 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And this right here tells us, right, what's going on. See, if you wondered why, you can't just live your life, right? Why did 9/11 have to happen? Why did they push this whole C-19 jabs on people? Why are they changing everything right now? Right? Why can't these Edomites just be satisfied with the riches and the power that they have and just, stay over there on their side? Well, it's because of this last part, right? Because they know that they have a short time. Because why? Well, like I said, though these low-level Edomites, your neighbors, your co-workers, the Edomites you see in standard society, they don't even know who they are, right? And hence they don't know the truth. The majority of them don't know, unless they're in some occult society. But the Edomites at the very top, the elites, the 1%ers, they understand what's happening. They actually go into the Bible, right? They've dissected the Bible letter by letter. They know all the secrets of this world, okay, including with what is going to happen to these Edomites. And what does the Bible say is going to happen to these Edomites? Well, we'll go real quick to the Bible dictionary, the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, right? This is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Says Edom figures prominently in the prophetic scriptures, right? Basically, things are going to happen in the future that the Bible talks about. As the scene of great future judgment, she is the only neighbor of the Israelites who was not given any promise of mercy from God. And that's it. That's the crux of the matter. These Edomites understand that their time is almost up. Okay, they understand that they can't, go on forever, even though their mindset is that they will go on forever, right? What does the Bible say? Psalms 49:11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Okay, so this right here again just shows you who these Edomites are. This is a cut to the Edomite identity, because when you look around the world, the majority of the continents are named after Caucasians. Okay, Africa is named after. Let's go here. The Bible timeline. Here's a famous one. Leo Scipio Africanus. Right, basically from 236 to 183. Right, he's a Roman general and later a consul. He defeated Hannibal at Zama in 202 BC. Africa named after him, known as Edan Kemet, right? Or basically means hot in Hebrew, right? Well, there you go. So this Africa, the continent Africa, was named after this man here. America was named after Amerigo Vespucci, right? Some Italian Edomite. Asia, named after this guy's brother, Asiatic. I forgot his first name, right? It's something Scipio Asiaticus. Okay, it was like his younger brother, I believe. But saying that he was a general, right? And they went and they conquered Asia. Okay, and what do? They named their land after their own names. Okay. So that being said, though these Edomites that don't understand that their time is short, right? They believe that their generations are going to continue forever, that they have got everything on lock, and that's it. Now the Edomites at top, right? Because of Project Looking Glass and everything that they've managed to look into the future, right? Supposedly, they know that their end is close. However, they believe that they could, overcome those obstacles and defeat God, and then continue their empire forever, right? Because again, that's these Edomites' mindsets. But what does the Bible tell us? Right? It tells us this. This is Revelations 13:4. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? You see, these devils understand that they sit at the top of all the nations. They understand that they are unbeatable. This is why as the scriptures say, they puffeth at their neighbors, right? This is why you see them running the world so unjustly, because nobody can raise a finger to these Edomites. Okay, this is another reason why the Bible says, right, woe unto the inhabitants of the world, because the devil has come down onto you. Right? This is the same reason why the Lord has sped up. He's literally sped up time to basically, so that way these devils won't be able to kill everybody off. Okay? Because what does the Bible say? It says, for the elect's sake, the Lord shall speed up the time, or else no flesh would be saved. You know, paraphrasing it. But the thing is that, you know, that's what's happened. And these devils aren't going to be able to extinguish the seed of Israel, right? They're going to get a lot of our people, 2/3 of our people are going to basically perish because they've been seduced by the gods of this world, right? Or they're ultimately going to be taken down by these devils. But again, it doesn't matter how well of a scheme they've created, what agenda they've planned out, what modern marvels they've managed to engineer and design and implement. It is not going to usurp prophecy. Like it tells us here, Job 14:5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Right? And these devils, these Edomites who currently are running the world in a wicked manner, they're not going to be able to pass that time when the Lord finally says it's over for them. Right? Once the Lord, you know, once they reach the point, what does the apostles say? They have to make the chip mandatory, right? The implantable RFID chip. They got to make that mandatory, and World War III has to be in full-fledged going, right? Has to be in full flow. When that happens, that's the end, right? These devils, when they start to come after the prophets, right? The Lord is going to raise up that standard. That standard is going to ultimately be Yahweh Shai showing up. So, and then the end of these Edomites is well documented in the Bible in a very small book, which is hardly ever spoken about because of what it talks about, the death and the destruction and the basically the conquering of these Edomites. This is Obadiah 1:10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Right? Jacob is another name for the Israelites. And again, when you look at, you know, our combined histories of the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, you'll see that we have been dealt with very harshly and unjustly by the hands of these Edomites, right? Both the Caucasian and Israeli race. And again, that is when it's brought up, it's shame is what falls upon these Edomites, right? From owning the slave ships to financing the European voyages here to the Americas, which would lead to the enslavement of the Native Americans over here. You know, the truth is coming out, and these devils' end is near, right? As Apostle Tahar says, man, these devils only got a few months left. Okay, it's months, right? They don't got decades, they don't got centuries, they got months left. Be it 6 months, 22 months. It's a predetermined amount of time that the Lord knows. And these devils, they understand it, which is why they are moving in haste to bring forward that agenda and to try to get their blessing back. So either way, Akim, I just wanted to, you know, highlight some of these things. I've been holding on to these clips for a while, and I thought I'd, you know, put them together and just show an example, or show some examples of just how advanced these devils really are, right? And what they've managed to do with all their skill and wisdom. So either way, hopefully this video was edifying. Until next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahshai, Bashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Shalom.